Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We're back after a week away. Got a pint-sized show for you this week. No guest. We'll just be going through some of the latest news. Some news bigger than others. We'll talk about some player signings and some pretty sizable things that have happened over the past couple of weeks since our last episode. We'll dive into that. We'll also have an off-the-wall t-shirt giveaway that we'll dive into and you can learn a little bit more about as well. But before we dive into any news, before we dive into the deets of the t-shirt giveaway, social plugs. It's time for the social plugs. That's right. If you don't already, please make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB. We're on Instagram, we're on X/Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. So if you're there, we're there. Go give us a follow and come join the conversation as well. Love chopping it up with folks. Love mixing it up with people on the socials. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for being here. Please make sure you're liking, subscribing, commenting on the video, all that stuff. We'll have a prompt for this video a little bit later on, again in the giveaway. So you'll have to listen through the episode or skip to the timestamp, whatever floats your boat. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you for doing that as well. Please make sure you take the time to rate the show on the show page, 5 stars preferably. But hey, do your thing. I trust your judgment. And just let's grow this thing out and share it with a friend. And let's see if we can ramp this thing up heading into 2026 and the beginning of arena and indoor football season will be here before we know it. We're going to start with the IFL this week as there's a lot of big stuff happening there. First thing that happened earlier this week was the Orlando Pirates. They are official in Central Florida now. It was arguably the worst kept secret in all of indoor and arena football over the past couple of months. I remember I was at the IFL National Championship game. I was talking to Commissioner Tryon about a couple things, and there were some fans coming up to Commissioner Tryon and being like, "Hey, we heard the Pirates are moving to Orlando." So it's been in the making for about at least 4 months at this point. But it's official. It's happening. They're going to be playing at the Kia Center in downtown Orlando. They had a press conference there introducing the commissioner, the owner, and the new head coach to the community of Orlando. That head coach is going to be Rob Keefe. So that name is probably familiar to you if you're watching this show. He was the Bay Area Panthers head coach for the past couple of years, won the IFL championship in 2023 with that stacked Bay Area team. And he was the associate head coach over in Northern Arizona with the Wranglers, with the Iowa Barnstormers. Before that, he was the head coach of the Albany Empire. And he also has experience being a head coach in Orlando, where he was the head coach for the Orlando Predators from 2014 to 2016. And so a lot of great experience from Coach Keefe, and he's one of the best in the business from the past decade or so to be able to come back home. He said in the press conference that he lives about 10 minutes from the arena where they're going to be playing, which is huge. So pumped for him personally to be able to be a little bit closer to home. Actually, a lot of it closer to home because you can't be much further than Bay Area from Central Florida. But he's coming back to Orlando, and he's bringing back some Orlando legends with him. So Les Moss, he was the head coach over in Northern Arizona for a little bit, where they won that IFL National Championship. He spent last season with the Bay Area Panthers as an associate head coach as well, and he's just has literally decades of experience coaching arena and indoor football. His father, Perry Moss, is one of the founding fathers of arena football. He was the original head coach for the Orlando Predators when they were introduced to the league in the early 90s. So Les Moss is Orlando arena football through and through. So the fact that he's coming back as a part of the Orlando Pirates organization is really, really awesome. And success seems to follow him no matter where he goes. And I don't think that's an accident. But then they also announced that they'll be having E.J. Burt, former Orlando Predators player and former Orlando Predators head coach from 2024. He'll be on as a defensive assistant. So you've got former Orlando Predators player, E.J. Burt. You've got former assistant head coach, whatever you want to say, with in Orlando for literally decades in Les Moss. And then you have an Orlando resident and someone who has experience coaching in Orlando and playing at the Kia Center as well. So this is just a really great staff for Orlando, and they're really going to hit the ground running. And I'm excited to see how they build from there. They announced a few names that we're going to be playing with the team. Smoke Monday returning from last year, and then Naquan Murray is going to be coming over from San Antonio, another Orlando, Florida resident getting the chance to come back home and play in the city, beautiful Orlando, Florida. So it's a really exciting time for Orlando. I feel for the fans up in Massachusetts who don't have a team anymore, but it's an exciting time for arena and indoor football in Central Florida. And the next big piece of news that was kind of soft launched, but you'll be hearing more information on that today, Thursday, November 20th, if all goes to plan, on what this entails. But it's the streaming deal. People have been whispering, and there's been rumors about what the streaming deal could be. Are they going to run it back with the IFL Network? Are they going to jump to this? Are they going to jump to that? Well, it was announced on Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius XM earlier today, on today being Wednesday, pre-recording this, on DA and Babs. They announced that the IFL President of Business Operations, Jared Whitman, announced that FanDuel Sports Network is going to be the streaming part, or one of the streaming partners, I should say, for the IFL. And they're going to have Sunday night primetime games, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, on the FanDuel Sports Network. Brent Stover will be on commentary for over 20 different games this upcoming season. Brent Stover was the commentator for the IFL National Championship game in Tucson this past season. He has experience commentating arena football games from the 2010s, and had him on the show, so he's a friend of the program as well. Go check out that episode if you haven't already. But it's an exciting announcement for them, and I'm sure if you're listening to this now, there's probably more information out about what all that entails, how you can watch, what it means for non-Sunday night games. That's still up in the air. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all about that yet, because I don't even have all those details yet. But yeah, it's an exciting time to see some cool things that could work out really, really well for the league. But we're just going to have to see how they decide to, roll it out and how it goes from here. On the surface, I think this is good for the upside of the league, where it gives you a lot of exposure to the folks that already have the FanDuel Sports Network on their Roku, or on their on their smart TV or whatever, as a part of their cable package. They already have it on there. So now you're getting FaceTime with all those people, which is amazing. It's not as amazing for the current fans of the game, where all the games were on the IFL Network last year, and pretty easy to watch if you subscribe to the IFL Network and paid the $30 for the season. So how does all that take shape? Do we see them potentially air the games on these streaming services and then archive them onto the IFL Network? Is the IFL Network still a paid service with the FanDuel Sports Network, with whatever else may be a part of this as well? Again, I don't have the answers right now at the time of recording this, but I'm just kind of, talking about it and speculating a bit. A lot to be talked about, a lot to be discussed, and I'm sure we'll get some clarity over the next coming days, over the next couple of weeks, especially as we're rocketing into 2026. And once January hits, we're going to be hitting warp speed for the beginning of indoor and arena football season. But pretty big announcement for the IFL, and it's on the execution at this point. When Commissioner Tryon was on the off the wall right before the IFL National Championship game, he talked about streaming standards being something that they've been improving slowly but surely over the past couple of years. It makes sense now, when you look at it in hindsight, that this is what they were ramping up to. They're ramping up to something where they can get some national and regional exposure and get the game in front of fans and give them a positive first impression, not be something where, quite frankly, some games in the past, some leagues, it looks like you're watching the game through someone's iPhone, or it looks like you're watching the game through an old camcorder, and it's just not a great viewing experience. So the IFL's definitely stepped some things up on the production side of things, and it's over the past couple of years, it seems like it's leading up to this moment. So super exciting times over in the Indoor Football League, and like I said, more to come, but it's a pretty exciting announcement, at least as of now. We'll have to see how it develops. On the player signing side of things, got a couple of big names returning to their teams from 2025. We're going to start in Vegas. Wide receiver Quentin Randolph, he has re-signed with the Vegas Nighthawks for the 2026 season. He's an all-IFL first-teamer from last year. He returns for the 2026 season, looking to run it back maybe make another run at the IFL National Championship in 2026. They'll reconnect with Jaden DeLora on that offense, and we'll have to see if they can pick up where they left off. There's some production that has already left. Antonio Wimbush going to the CFL, CJ Wyndham going over to Fisher's Freight. So they're going to have some next man up mentality over in Vegas. But Coach Mike Davis does a really good job of bringing in elite talent over there. So it seems like Vegas is going to pick right up where they left off, especially with Jaden DeLora at quarterback. But they also were able to reload on defense as well. Defensive back Clifton Duck, friend of the program. He'll be back stateside as he signed with the Nighthawks as well for the 2026 season. He spent 2025 partially with the San Antonio Gunslingers before going over to Europe and playing for the Nordic Storm. So had him on the show a few weeks back, had an hour-long conversation with him about his journey through arena ball and playing over in Europe. So go check that out if you haven't already. But Vegas is doing the thing again where they're reloading a very, very talented roster. And as of right now, they're the reigning champs and they are the team to beat. So they're going to be circled on everyone's calendar, especially on that opening weekend game against the Green Bay Blizzard. It's going to be a very fun game to watch. But yeah, Vegas is reloading and they're going to be really good again. And then one more player signing from the past couple of weeks that I really wanted to highlight was Fisher's Freight. They re-signed wide receiver JT Stokes. So this is a massive signing that instantly puts Fishers near the top of the East in terms of offensive talent. You look at the what they've been able to bring back from last year with Felix Harper, with JT Stokes, Journey Sloan caught on halfway through the year and finished strong. Josiah King, same thing with him. Dominic Roberto, same thing with him. They finished the season really, really strong. They started 2-0, went on a 9-game losing streak, but won their final 5 games. The offense was finally starting to find a rhythm. But then you add in a wide receiver like CJ Wyndham, friend of the program, from Vegas, coming off of a championship season. So you're going to have 2 very big physical wide receivers in CJ Wyndham and JT Stokes. You're going to have a solid running game with Josiah King and Dominic Roberto. Journey Sloan can really stretch the field. Felix Harper can sling it. And then they bring over some offensive linemen from Massachusetts, and it's like, man, this Fisher's offense is going to be very, very good and very, very fun to watch. So I think they're the team to really look out for, and it looks like on paper as of right now, if I had to make some choices today, they're looking like a playoff team in the Eastern Conference based on how they finished last year and some of the production and talent that they were bringing back on both sides of the ball. So Fisher's really great re-signing with JT Stokes, and they're just continuing to load the deck on offense and on the defensive side of the ball. So, we'll see what the rest of the offseason has in store for Fisher's. Not a whole lot going in some of the other leagues, but we'll talk about them, about some of the things that are happening. We'll dive in the NAL first. Wide receiver Aaron Dilworth, he signs with the Pueblo Punishers. He was wide receiver 1 for the Hot Springs Wise Guys in 2025, and he was really dynamic, making highlight reel plays all throughout the season. I could easily see him returning to Arkansas after that NAL season concludes. Multiple players did that in the AF1 and from the NAL. Tyler Kolka comes to mind. Akil Greer comes to mind. So a lot of players were able to make that switch and continue playing throughout the summer with the TAL. And I feel like Dilworth is going to be a similar situation to that. So Pueblo got a very interesting roster. They're going to be feisty from the very beginning. So we'll have to see how all that works out. Again, going back to what we've talked about before, they have their co-head coach situation where the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator are also co-head coach. So that's going to be a unique dynamic, I guess, to kind of keep an eye on and measure the pulse of it and see how it goes. But yeah, Dilworth, he's a really good wide receiver and a really good signing for Pueblo. And that Pueblo offense gets a nice little boost from Dilworth. But we also have another friend of the program, kicker Alberto Castaneda. He's one of the first guests we had on this show. Almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago at this point. He signs with the Sioux City Bandits. So he's played for a couple different indoor teams throughout the years, and he'll get another shot with the Bandits here. If you were watching 2024 AFL when it was on Vyre, sorry, I should have had a trigger warning there. Vyre, V-Y-R-E. If you were watching Vyre, watching a Washington Wolfpack game, Alberto Castaneda was in the crowd with a sign pulling a James Harden with the sign saying like, hey, I'm a free agent kicker, ready to roll. Let's go. So had him on the show and talked to him a little bit too. So go check out that episode. I think it was like episode 12 or 13. I don't even know at this point. But super pumped for Alberto to get back in the mix and hopefully make the roster for Sioux City and make some noise, because Sioux City historically is a really, really good team. So that could be a really good spot for Mr. Castaneda. Flipping over to the AF1 now, the Washington Wolfpack signed quarterback Vincent Espinoza. So Vincent Espinoza is a name that should be familiar to folks that have been watching the indoor arena game for a couple years now. He spent some games last year, finished the season with Fishers for a couple games, played most of the season with the Columbus Lions at the NAL. He's played for the Carolina Cobras, the Tucson Sugar Skulls, the Iowa Barnstormers, the Iowa Woo. He's played all over the place, and he's pretty good in spurts. I think he can bring some quarterback stability to Everett. I think he could definitely raise the bar for what quarterback play has been in Washington over the past couple of seasons. And if he can provide some of that stability and raise the floor of quarterback play for that Wolfpack offense with hopefully an improved offensive line, some of those wide receiver weapons returning, this could be a really good spot for Vincent Espinoza to get another chance and get another shot in the Pacific Northwest. He signed with the Oregon Black Bears of the 2024 AFL before that all kind of fell apart, for lack of a better term, over in Oregon for the Black Bears. So he gets another shot in the Pacific Northwest, and we'll have to see if Mr. Espinoza is the quarterback answer for the Wolfpack, because I would love to see the Wolfpack become competitive and put up a fight in 2026, but it's going to come down to the offensive line and quarterback play. So it looks like they're retooling some of that and letting Vincent Espinoza spin it. Could be a new era of Wolfpack football here. But only other thing we're going to touch on for the AF1 is the Minnesota Monsters. So they made some headlines jumping ship over from TAL to the AF1, changing their name, bringing over their coach, bringing over a ton of players, signing a ton of big names in the arena and indoor game. But Coach Tony O'Neill stepped aside or resigned from his position as head coach due to some mental health concerns and issues that he was working through. And Minnesota has kind of quietly started offloading some of those big name signings that they made when they first made that jump. You look at defensive lineman Lorenzo Hernandez, who came over from Vegas, just won an IFL National Championship with Vegas. He signs for a pretty sizable contract, gets a signing bonus, and then is cut and released, and he ends up going back to Vegas. Aaron Jackson gets released from Fishers so that he could go sign with Minnesota. I'm assuming it's the same thing. It's a signing bonus, has a nice little contract, gets released. He's back in the IFL playing for the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Ponce de Leon came over from the Omaha Beef. He got released. We'll probably see him go back to the Beef. Lavelle Spruce, he played for the Duluth Harbor Monsters last year. He quietly gets released. So a lot of the names that they've signed throughout the offseason have quietly been released over the past couple of weeks, and they're slowly starting to reshape that roster with the new head coach's identity in mind. But is it purely identity? Is it purely roster makeup? Or could they have potentially gotten a little bit ahead of themselves with the signings early on and, maybe just throwing around some of that signing bonus money and some of that weekly wage money a little too liberally? I don't know. It just seems like they're correcting their behavior at this point, and it kind of makes me think about some of the changes that were made in the leadership. Does it have to do with that? So there's lots of you can kind of speculate on and talk about, but Minnesota went from being a team where it's like, okay, they have deep depth on the depth chart, and now they quietly released a lot of that depth, and I think you can make some legitimate questions about like the shift from TAL to AF1. The talent depth isn't there anymore. They still have plenty of talent all throughout that roster. They got plenty of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but will that be enough moving forward? Again, we're in November, very early in the offseason. We've got 5 months until the season kicks off for the AF1. So plenty of time for things and stuff to change, but it kind of makes you think and kind of makes you wonder what was really going on behind the scenes in Minnesota. And last but not least, we've got the Arena League TAL. Not a ton to dive into here, but I think last episode we touched on Memphis was coming to the TAL. Well, they are official. They were announced, and they're having a name the team contest that ended today, actually, as this video was released. So with it ending today, there's lots of different directions they could go with the team name. We threw this out on X/Twitter a few weeks back. I think there were some really great name recommendations. Our guy Luke, he recommended the Memphis Kings. Kings. You got Martin Luther King, B.B. King, Elvis, the King of Rock, Jerry the King Lawler, all associated with Memphis. So there's a lot of cool imagery they could do with the crown, with the Kings, the Memphis Pharaohs. Nice little tip of the cap to the 90s team, the 90s Arena Football League team that resided in Memphis. I think the World Football guys, I think Adam suggested the Pitmasters, a little Memphis barbecue action. So there's a lot of fun directions they could take it. So we'll have to see what they end up choosing. But where do they go next? Where do we see them going beyond just Memphis? Because there are some more expansions coming. Presumably one to replace Duluth, and then another one as well. So where do they go? Where do they go from here? If they follow that corridor they kind of have in the middle, do they kind of go into Mississippi? Do they kind of go into Alabama a little bit? Do they kind of go into Louisiana? Do they stick a little bit further north? Do they start to go east-west? They're literally any direction they can take it. But TAL has an interesting approach where the league starts the franchise, and then they get local investors to buy in and take over the franchise, like what they did with Arkansas this past season with the Hot Springs Wise guys getting bought and being transformed into the Arkansas Diamonds. So, we'll see where they end up. If you have an idea, if you have a scoop on where they might end up, throw it in the comments and let's talk about it. All right, before we get out of here, I promised a t-shirt giveaway, and we're doing it. So listen carefully. This is how we're going to do this. We need a couple things from you. We need you to subscribe on YouTube. We need you to like this video, and then comment on this video. Comment your favorite current arena or indoor football team. So going into 2026, who's the team that you're pulling for? Who's the team that you're backing? What league are they in? Why are they your team? Are they a rental team just for 2026? Have they been your team for a couple years? Let me know. I'm really interested to see what the fandom of this community we're building here at Off the Wall looks like. You have until the beginning of the turf tapes on Monday evening to enter. So only one entry per account. So you can't just comment every IFL team and get 14 entries. No. Not like that. You have until the beginning of the turf tapes next week on Monday evening to enter. Winner will be randomly selected and announced on next week's turf tapes. So we did a hoodie giveaway last December with the AF1, and we spun a wheel on the turf tapes, and then we were able to give away. It landed on someone that qualified. It was an Instagram contest that we did. Got their name, got into contact with them on social media, got them hooked up with the hoodie, and they were good to go. So we're going to do the same exact thing there, where we'll get in contact via social media if you are the winner. But again, it has to be done on the YouTube comments below in order to enter. This is not sponsored, endorsed, or administered by YouTube. This is just off the wall, giving away a t-shirt, spreading the love within the community. So if you have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out to me via DM on social media, and I'll be happy to answer it. But again, subscribe on YouTube, like this video, comment below who your favorite arena or indoor football team is and who you're going to be rooting for in 2026. And then we'll decide a winner of one of the first batch of Off the Wall t-shirts. And we'll get that announced next week on the turf tapes and get it sent out shortly after. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. A lot of interesting things happening across multiple leagues in this 2026 off season. Has not been disappointing so far. So lots more to uncover, lots more to learn with the IFL streaming deals, with the AF1 schedule, what their streaming situation, what their television situation is going to look like. NAL, how are we going to watch the NAL this upcoming season? TAL, what expansion markets are they going to next? So there's lots to speculate and talk about over the next couple of weeks as we start our rocket into the end of 2025 and into the beginning of 2026. So if you don't already, please make sure you're following us on socials at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB, on Instagram, X, Twitter, TikTok, all the things and stuff. So go make sure you give us a follow on there, and don't just follow, engage, join the conversation. I've been known to throw a bad meme on the socials. If you like bad memes, come check it out. I've been known to throw out a good hypothetical as well. So if you're into the hypotheticals, come join the conversation. Let's have some fun. Let's chop it up. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're liking and subscribing. Enter the t-shirt giveaway. If you're watching this like months and months in advance, I'm sorry you missed the t-shirt giveaway. But if you're watching this before, what is that? November 24th, you have until November 24th to enter the t-shirt giveaway. Subscribe, like this video, comment below, all that stuff. So only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about 20 to 30 minutes listening to me talk about and rant about some indoor and arena football stuff means a lot. So really appreciate the love and support. Follow us on socials, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm just repeating myself at this point. So take care. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on socials. We'll see you next time. Bye.